my buttery ban list. Welcome to another installment of Breakfast and Ban List, where we eat breakfast and we talk about the ban list. This is a combination of predictions, wishes, and some of your online thoughts as well. And speaking of being online chronically, we are doing our subathon starting this Friday, September 1st at 2 p.m. EST until, well, whenever it ends. We are your hostages for God only knows how long. Every sub will put 2 minutes on the clock, and it is up to you how long we survive. But there's going to be a ton of amazing collabs. Gage and Dan will be here for the first 3 entire days, and it's going to be an absolute blast. So make sure you're following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/CrushCards. Link is in the description box down below, and I will see you at the subathon on Friday. But today we are here to talk about a ban list. So with all that being said, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, and comment respectfully what you think is going to get hit on the ban list. This is a discussion video. We are not Konami, and we are talking about a silly little card game. So remember that at the end of the day when you put your opinions down in the comments.
And without further ado, let's get into our ban cards.
First up on the chopping block for the ban section is Kashtira Arise Heart. Shock, awe, surprise.
This is still the best card in the best deck. They put this card to 1, and it literally made 0 difference. This card just won our regional 24 hours ago.
Wow. Yeah, I don't really feel like we have to talk much about Arise Heart. He's number 1 on pretty much everyone's list. He's at 1, so the only way down is under. Shout out to Australia.
I am so tough. Stay away from me or I'm gonna bite you.
And speaking of a card that is at the top of every single person's pick, it's Eradicator.
The problem with Eradicator is it's in literally everyone's decks and side decks at this point, which is kind of the telltale sign of a card needing to be banned. It's not like it's locked to just trap decks anymore. Now Eradicator is being played in Cash. It's obviously played in Lab. It's played in any deck that
Dragons,
can
branded.
Yeah, it's in literally any deck that can spit out a 2500 attack Dark Monster, which, spoiler, in 2023 is not that hard because Bystials exist. Yu-Gi-Oh games are already ending in like 3 turns or less, which is a whole separate topic and a whole separate issue that we are not going into today. I feel like having a card like Eradicator, which just determines the game right then and there, needs to go and is super unhealthy. There are a lot of unhealthy cards we're going to talk about, but this is on my top priority list. This card sucks.
Another card on a lot of people's priority list that doesn't let you play is another trap card. Spoiler, it's Dimensional Barrier. D-Barrier effectively locks you out of one mechanic from the extra deck for the entire turn. Now with decks like Pearly, Branded, Kashtira in the meta, even though we're going to try to take care of a lot of these issues, it still is just an effective turn skip. And as Logan said, with 2 to 3 turn games, turn skipping is extremely strong.
Unless we brought a certain trap card back to 1 to maybe reboot some of these problems. Next up on the list is Labyrinth Coup Clock. This is the card that allows you to activate a trap card the turn it was set, which if you can piece 2 and 2 together is really problematic when a lot of trap cards are D-Barrier, Eradicator. That's a problem.
The point of trap cards is to set them and then activate them on the next turn. This literally just makes all of that null and void and gets you direct access to any normal trap card.
Yeah, I was literally just gonna say that. I'm like, the point of Yu-Gi-Oh, not to go like a boomer, but like the point is to like set the trap cards and activate them the next turn. That's like why they're trap cards. So like having cards that just eliminate that altogether, it feels like wildly unfair, which is crazy because trap cards inherently feel slower.
It's literally just future proofing.
Yeah.
Next up, this is something that I genuinely do not think will happen, but I honestly would like to see happen, and this is Hot Red Dragon King Archfiend Calamities. Whatever the hell this card's name is, it's got 48 words in the text. I feel like our ban section here is literally just trying to eradicate turn skipping. A lot of people want Droll banned, and this is one of the main reasons that Droll is in the format, because if you can't Droll your opponent and they can get to this card in multiple different decks, especially with the brand new Crimson Dragon that just came out, this card is just summoned on your turn and you don't get to play. The whole point of Yu-Gi-Oh is being able to interact with your opponent. The back and forth is really fun. Though it may not feel fair all the time, not having that ability is actually unfair. So hopefully this card just goes bye-bye.
We saw this happen with Zexal. We saw this happen with VFD, who was comically called Very Fun Dragon because he was not very fun to play against. And these cards that effectively say you don't get a turn really need to not exist in the game. And Konami, if you happen to be watching, feel free to stop printing these because I'm really sick of every format having to talk about a BS turn skip card. It's really annoying. Moving on to the limited section, there are a lot of cards about to come on in here, so buckle up, Buttercup, because this list needs to be huge or we're gonna be really disappointed. So let's talk about some limited cards.
First off, is Magnemite, everyone's favorite dragon. This is literally a 2500 DD Crow that is a quick effect that searches any dragon in the game. This card being at 3 is freaking ridiculous.
You need a dragon? He's got you. Nobody out pizzas the nut.
And if I'm being honest here, this is my personal bias. Dragon Link has been playable for 4 years. We came
15 years it's been playable.
We've come into Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2019. 5 months later, the Rocket Structure deck came out. Dragon Link has been a tier 1, tier 2 deck until now. I genuinely think, I genuinely think that it's time that this deck just goes away.
I think unfortunately to hit dragons as a deck altogether, there are a lot of cards that need to be hit in the process, Rip, Agripane, and LP. But speaking of hitting cards in the process of dragons, let's talk about the Bystial Lubellion.
There's no reason to limit something like Magnemite if we're not also limiting Lubellion. Lubellion can just pitch himself to search any Bystial. You're still going to be playing 4 copies of Magnemite. This is just a general hit to consistency. And I think a lot of people really want to see something like Juris Worm or Baldrake Limited. I'm fine with that as well, but I really think that Lubellion being able to search all of them actually hits the consistency of not only the Bestial engine, but the dragons as well.
But moving away from dragons, we're gonna talk about a whole different deck that everyone is also sick of seeing, and that's
branded.
Sorry to all my brandies, my branded Andies, but I think branded fusion should go to 1, and I think that is the most insignificant slap on the wrist we could give you. Branded fusion, they always got it. They've got 57,000 ways to get to it, and I think just putting it to 1 is fine. It just got its ulti treatment. It's had time with its ulti treatment. It's done. Konami got its money's worth out of it, and if anything signifies it's getting hit, it's an ulti. As someone who played in TOS format, I know that for a fact.
Speaking of another card that is played in the branded deck and also has had its ultimate rare treatment, Super Polymerization is a personal pick for me that I would like to see go to 1. With all the brand new Yubel support coming out, I definitely think that this is a card that will still remain in the format, but with all of the brand new Super Poly targets that have emerged, I think this card is just a little too generic. You can play it in any and every deck. There's a target for everything.
Everything.
Literally. And let's not forget about the fact that you literally can't respond.
Spell speed 4. Turns out it still sucks. Between turn skipping and spell speed 4, I really don't think either should exist in the game, but I don't think Super Poly is ban worthy by any means. I think it should just go to 1. Yes, it's a little sacky at that point, but I think it'll discourage people from playing it. Or it won't. I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh players are a whole different breed. But those are really it for the branded hits. I don't think branded is an unfair deck by any means, so please, I know every branded player is in the comments right now, but please, I literally don't think hitting branded fusion to 1 and then hitting Super Poly to 1 is that unfair. I'm just being realistic. It's about power balance in this game, and if we're gonna hit every single deck, which we are, we gotta hit everybody. It's only fair. And with that being said, let's continue to hit Kashtira some more and make everyone feel better. We're putting Fenrir and Unicorn to 1. Those cards, unfortunately, need to go to 1. Fenrir can't be at 2. There's no way that's gonna happen. It needs to go. It's in every deck. It's way too splashable. I played in Vanquish Soul, for God's sake. Pearly was playing it, for God's sake. That's just silly. Why? Fenrir needs to go to 1 and Unicorn to 2 meant nothing because as a Cash player, I could see him all the time. I had no issues getting to him. So hitting Fenrir and Unicorn to 1 is just the best way to really nail in that people should stop playing this deck. Pick up anything else that's not Cash, please.
Thank you. Other cards that may not be on people's radar, one of them is going to be Sprite Starter. This card went to 2 last format, and it is also probably just going to go to 1 here. This isn't because Sprite is seeing way too much play. If we're being really honest here, there are still so many old decks from a few months ago that are still very playable. Even though the brand new decks came out and people are trying to play them, they can't really shine with all these older decks being at full power. Sprite is just on that tier list. We're going to bring it down just a little bit. This is a Konami move. This isn't an us move. It would just make sense. The card went to 2. It's probably gonna go to
don't
1.
be mad at us. This is totally something Konami's gonna do. Be mad at them. Be mad at them.
And in the same vein here, I think another card is Hugin. I really think putting Runic Fountain to 2 did absolutely nothing. Though a lot of people aren't really choosing to play this engine at the moment, it's still basically full power. Putting Hugin to 1 really does limit the accessibility of getting to your 2 copies of Fountain, and it is just trying to remove some of the older decks out of the format.
Yeah, these aren't hits of hatred. These are just hits that I think Konami would make at this point. Last one that I feel like is another Konami hit before we get into the copium section is Skill Drain. I think Skill Drain could go to 1 because, well, let's be honest, it's at 1 in the OCG and it's banned in Master Duel. And I know we've been referencing the OCG and Master Duel a lot, and I just don't think we should be ignoring the fact that those lists are all starting to look kind of similar. So if we're gonna follow suit, I do think Skill Drain is gonna go to 1. It's not really being played right now. It used to get played in Labyrinth, but now that we're on the IKEA Lab strategy, you don't need it. But unfortunately, Skill Drain is one of those cards that when it finds a home, it becomes really problematic. And it was at 1 for the longest time, and then it came to 3. And I think we should just put it back to 1. We say this every time, and it never shows up on the screen, so I hope it's on the screen this time.
Moving on to our copium section.
Put your tinfoil hats on, gang. It's time to start coping.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I really feel like my hopes are always super high and they always get let down. First off, Harp Whore. I genuinely do not know why this card didn't come off a ban list 3 years ago. Yeah. This card is totally fine right now. Orcust is freaking power crept to death. This card should just be at 5. I don't know why it's at 0.
We got engaged at 2. I don't know why we can't just have 1 harp. Like, it's not gonna break the game, I promise. Especially if Bestial still exists. Oh man, I'll boink like, oh bye. Like, I don't understand, man. I don't think Orcust is a threat. And if someone at Konami still thinks it's a threat, it's not. You gotta get your head out of the hidey hole, bro.
Please.
It's okay,
Oh my god, harp to 1, Lord.
And I know we started this whole video off complaining about a walk and talk and floodgate, but I really would like Colossus to come to 1. Compared to Arise Heart, Colossus is literally a toddler. Like, I don't understand. Like, you can just push him and he falls over. Like, you can imperm him, dark roller him, droplet him, anything.
Pokemon and Eclipse.
Oh my god, yes. I just, like, I know I say this every time, but, like, I really, compared to Arise Heart, like, I just don't even think it's, like, I don't even think it's a shot in hell. Like, I almost said a naughty word, but kids show.
Kids show.
Like, I don't know. I know I'm a hypocrite. I know. You don't need to say, Logan, you're such a hypocrite. Card sucks. But, like, I just, I just want him back.
And that's it for our limited. Let's move on to the semi-limited section because Konami seems to be utilizing this for some reason
it's a thing now, but it's a very small list, I promise.
The first one is Prosperity. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this card got limited, but I do think moving it from 3 to 2 is actually something we might see. This is a consistency card. It lets you effectively see the top 6 cards of your deck. Going first, it's crazy to see whatever you need. Going second, you can search for any of your sideboard cards. This card is just almost too strong to get any card in your deck.
And last for the semis is Dimension Shifter. I know we've got a lot of dimensions being shifted on this list, but I think 2, like, who's gonna play to 2? Literally, why? Like, you need to see it turn 0. Like, you have to activate it because you can't have cards in your graveyard. So I just don't think at 2 anyone's gonna touch it. So that's all we need to do. Sometimes you don't need to ban a card. I think 2's enough.
And then moving into our unlimiteds, this is basically just house cleaning, right? Anything that came from 2 to whatever is just gonna come to 3 this list. We're talking about Gazelle, Ancient Fairy Dragon, and Orange Light. These cards realistically don't need to be on the list at all. I think they're just gonna move
Orange Light was on the
list.
list.
Honestly, exactly. These are cards that, like, not a lot of people are gonna talk about. You can make the argument engage to 3. I genuinely hate that card, and I have no problem with this card coming to 3. So,
it is weird.
Just the house cleaning section.
I feel like a lot of cards can come to 3. We're not gonna spend the whole video going over because we spent the whole video talking about every other card in the world, but I really do think a lot of cards could come to 3. If we did not, like, list a card that you think should go to 3, put it in the comments, baby. That's what it's for.
Excuse me, you forgot something. See, 2, 3.
And really quick, I just want to do an honorable mention section of just one singular card, and that is Red Reboot. I do not love Red Reboot. I am not saying it's the best card in the game, but I do think maybe it could come back to 1 because we have this problem lately where cards cannot be interacted with, specifically trap cards. We have no outs to cards like Deed Barrier anymore unless you literally have Judgment, which isn't optimal for a lot of decks. And I think having a copy of Red Reboot, which it was at for the longest time, I think that is fine because we need to have some sort of out. If you're not going to ban Dimensional Barrier or these cards, we need to have an out to it. I just think Red Reboot could come to 1. I know there were 400 cards on this breakfast and ban list, but there is a lot to talk about, and I really hope this is a bigger ban list because if it's not, I think a lot of us are going to be really disappointed. I don't think this format is bad in any way, in shape, or form, but I do think we need to start hitting decks that have been around too long, and I think Cash needs to be eliminated altogether. I really do just think they need to refresh this whole format. And then we can move into fun decks and Age of Overlord and all that fun stuff. So let us know in the comment section what you think should happen on this ban list, and if we didn't talk about a card, put it in the comment section down below. And make sure you come check out the subathon on Friday where we can talk about more ban list stuff and hopefully get a ban list. That'd be pretty sick, right? With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We love you, you matter, and we will see you in all these videos over here and some sick videos coming this week, team. Bye!